to the FOSS-KIT Physics of Sound. This is information on Investigation 1 dropping in. I'm going to be walking you through the different elements of Investigation 1. Again, I'm going to be using the FOSS-Web website. If you do not have your login information, you can go onto the Science tab on the SIS website. Investigation 1, students will observe that sounds are made by objects when dropped, and they can develop sound discrimination skills to tell these sounds apart. They'll be able to communicate with others with a drop code, and they will be able to identify sound sources and receivers, and observe that vibrations make sounds. You will see that you can access different pages of this book. Here's the purpose. You can go to the drop down, and we can look at a glance matrix, and this will tell you the investigation summary, science content, and assessment opportunities for each investigation in part. Before I begin any unit, I like to create a KWL sheet with my students. I like to find out what they know before learning the unit, and I want to find out what they want to know. At the end of the unit, I'll revisit that and find out what they have learned, and we'll compare the K and the L. For Investigation 1 dropping in, setting up the drop chamber ahead of time is necessary. When setting it up, be sure to use the paper fasteners provided in the science kit to hold the chamber together. I've included a quick video to show you how to set up the drop chamber. I also like to do a drop chamber visual helper. This is important to give my ELL and SPED students a visual aid while I teach. I create a poster large enough for all students to see with the object taped to each name that it is. So that way students can have the visual of what the object is and how to spell it correctly. I also like to do drop code visual helpers. This is another aid that I create. It will have the letters that each object represents along with the correct spelling and the object again so that they can see the object and the word together. Some tips and tricks for part 1 dropping in is have a helper for each group. I find that when students are responsible for making sure that all the objects are cleaned up and put back in the bag, everything gets picked up that way. If you don't have helpers, they don't take responsibility and objects will end up everywhere. So helpers are a great help. Doing this lesson as a whole class helps with the management piece I found. Having everyone guess the same object being dropped at one time rather than working in separate groups. This way everyone can hear the object and there's not side noise going on when they're trying to listen. Return all materials to the science kit box after each class. This way nothing is lost. Be sure to pay attention which box materials they come from. If you forgot to look at the box inventory list, you can find out which one. For part 2, drop code, this lesson usually takes 2 class periods. Use the poster in the slide 2 to help you with the ELL and the SPED students. This is best as a whole class lesson I find as well. I have each student create a word on a note card. I collect all the note cards and then I pull random ones to see who drops their mystery word. And each kid will write down which letter they think it is using that drop code poster that I created. Tips and tricks for part 3, sound and vibrations. This unit also takes 2 classes to teach. With this lesson, you'll need to assemble the door fiddle ahead of time. This does take some finagling to get together. You're going to need to make sure that the rope is pulled tight around the door. You need to make sure that when you put the wood in, the wood is not loose in the rope and that it has to work. If it's not as tight as possible, it's not going to work right. So make sure you practice before you have the class come in. With the tone generator, I like to play a mystery pitches game, where the students will give me a thumbs up for a high pitch, thumbs down for a low pitch, and I'll just change the parameters on the sound generator. And this way they're not yelling out answers. It's a silent high, thumbs up, low, thumbs down guessing game. There's a built-in assessment opportunity in this unit. This can be found either in your teacher's guide or on fossweb.com. It's a response sheet dropping in which students will be asked a question about objects being dropped and which one they think is better and why. So they need to state a claim, give evidence and reasoning for this.